It's not just you. It feels like your paycheck is worth less every single time you use it. Every trip to the grocery store, every bill in the mail, it's like your money is evaporating. But what if I told you this isn't just about prices going up? What if it's a sign of a trickier economic trap called stagflation? One that doesn't just hit your wallet but could threaten your job too. This is the reality for so many people right now. That feeling that you're running faster and faster on a treadmill just to stay in the same place. For a lot of families, the dream of getting ahead feels like it's being replaced by the struggle of just getting by, as the cost of everything feels totally disconnected from what they earn. So in this video, we're going to break down what's really going on, why it's happening, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Because you can't escape a trap until you know you're in one. So you know something is deeply wrong with the economy, but what do you even call it? Let's put a name to this economic boogeyman everyone's whispering about. You've probably heard the word stagflation on the news, but let's be real. It sounds like something an economist made up to sound smart. It's actually a mashup of two words that spell trouble: stagnation and inflation. And that toxic combo is what makes it so uniquely miserable. First up is inflation, and you know this villain all too well. It's the reason that pizza that used to be $10 is now pushing 20. Inflation is just the speed at which prices go up, meaning every dollar you earn buys a little bit less than it did before. It's a silent pickpocket. A little inflation, maybe around 2%, is actually healthy for an economy. It nudges people to spend and invest. But when it gets out of control, it becomes a serious problem. Now, for part 2 of our monster, stagnation. An economy stagnates when it stops growing. Think of it like a plant that just stops. When that happens, companies get nervous. They stop expanding. They put hiring on freeze. And then they start looking for ways to cut costs, which often means layoffs. This leads to higher unemployment and that shaky feeling of job insecurity, even for people who are still employed. Stagflation is when you get the worst of both worlds, hitting you at the exact same time. Prices are soaring, but the economy is sputtering. So you have high inflation, high unemployment, and slow growth all wrapped up in one messy package. It's rare, and it's dangerous. Mostly because the textbook cures for one problem usually make the other one a whole lot worse. Okay, so we've given the monster a name. But what does stagflation actually do to your daily life? It attacks you from two directions at once, locking you in a brutal financial vice. First, it absolutely torches your purchasing power. Your paycheck might show the same number, but it feels smaller because it is smaller in terms of what it can buy. Economists measure this with a basket of goods, things like food, gas, and housing. During stagflation, the cost of that basket rises way faster than your paycheck does. That forces families into tough choices: skipping the fresh produce for canned goods, putting off a car repair that you know you need, or shelving the idea of a family vacation. Your standard of living quietly slips even while you're working just as hard. Second, it puts your main source of income, your job, on the chopping block. In a healthy economy, businesses feel optimistic. They invest, they build, they hire. But during stagflation, businesses get squeezed too. Their own costs are going through the roof, but they can't always pass those costs onto you without losing customers who are already broke. This profit crunch leads directly to hiring freezes, and you guessed it, layoffs. This is all captured perfectly in something called the misery index. It's a painfully simple score you get by adding the inflation rate and the unemployment rate together. During stagflation, that index goes to the moon. Your costs are up and your job security is down. It makes getting ahead feel impossible. Saving money feels like a losing game when inflation is eating it for lunch. And if you need a loan for a car or a house, good luck. The central banks are probably jacking up interest rates to fight inflation, making borrowing a nightmare. You get squeezed from every angle. Think this economic nightmare is brand new? Think again. To understand where we might be going, we have to look back at the last time this monster reared its ugly head. The US and many other countries were dragged through a devastating period of stagflation back in the 1970s. For the longest time, economists thought it was impossible. They had this neat theory that when unemployment went up, inflation went down, and vice versa. The 1970s blew that theory to bits. The spark that lit the fuse back then was an oil shock. In 1973, a group of oil-producing nations declared an embargo, and the price of crude oil quadrupled almost overnight. Suddenly, the cost of everything, from gas for your car to the plastic in your Tupperware, exploded. This kicked off runaway inflation. At the same time, the energy crisis crippled businesses that couldn't handle the soaring costs. This led to a massive economic slowdown, huge layoffs, and climbing unemployment. The result was years of economic misery, comically long lines at gas stations, and a general feeling that things were falling apart. What makes stagflation so hard to beat is the nightmare it creates for policymakers. The standard move to fight inflation is to raise interest rates. This cools down the economy and brings prices back to earth. But when the economy is already on its knees and unemployment is high, raising rates is like throwing an anchor to a drowning man. It can trigger a deep recession. So what about the other option? To fight unemployment, you'd normally cut interest rates to get people spending and businesses hiring again. But do that when inflation is raging and you're just pouring gasoline on the fire. You're trapped. Every potential solution for one problem makes the other problem worse. Okay, I know this is heavy stuff. Feeling a little overwhelmed? Don't be, because knowledge is your first line of defense. If you're finding this breakdown valuable and want to stay on top of the big economic shifts that are quietly shaping your future, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It tells the YouTube gods that this is the kind of information people need right now, and it helps the channel keep making it for you. So if you can't control the global economic hurricane, how do you keep your own ship from sinking? It's time to open up the personal playbook for self-defense. This isn't about some get-rich-quick scheme. It's about building a financial fortress that can withstand the storm. Know your numbers? This is ground zero. You have to know exactly where your money is going. I'm talking about making a budget and actually looking at it. Track every dollar for a month. I promise you, you will be shocked at where the leaks are. This isn't about punishment, it's about power. Once you see where your money is going, you can point it where you want it to go. Build your emergency fund. In an economy with shaky job security, cash is king. Your emergency fund is the moat around your castle. It protects you from a surprise job loss or a busted transmission. The old advice is 3 to 6 months of living expenses, but in this environment, aiming for the high end of that is a smart move. Keep it in a high-yield savings account. Safe, accessible, but not so accessible, you'll rate it for a pizza night. Attack high-interest debt. When interest rates are climbing, debt, especially credit card debt, becomes a ball and chain that gets heavier every day. It's an anchor dragging you down. You need to get aggressive and make a plan to pay off your most expensive debt first. The less of your money that's flying out the door to pay interest, the more you have to fight with. Defend your income. Your ability to earn is your single most valuable asset. In a tough job market, you need to become indispensable. Look for ways to take on more responsibility, learn a new skill, and add undeniable value at work. And think about diversifying. Could you freelance on the side? Turn a hobby into a small business? Having more than one income stream is a safety net. If one stream dries up, you have others to rely on. Make your money work for you. Now, this isn't direct financial advice, just a key principle. In the long run, leaving all your savings in cash is a guaranteed way to lose purchasing power, thanks to inflation. Once your emergency fund is solid, it's time to learn how to put your money to work. Historically, certain assets like real estate or specific types of stocks and commodities have held up better during stagflation. The goal here isn't to gamble, it's to find ways to preserve and grow your money's value over the long haul. So, where does all of this leave you? Let's bring it all together. That feeling that your paycheck is shrinking isn't a feeling at all. It's a symptom of a real economic challenge called stagflation, that ugly combination of rising prices, a stalled economy, and job worries. We've seen how this exact mix caused widespread pain in the 1970s, and why it's such a nightmare for policymakers to fix. But being aware of the problem is more than half the battle. When you understand what you're up against, you stop being a passive victim of the economy and start being an active defender of your own future. By focusing on the things you can control, your budget, your savings, your debt, and your skills, you can build a personal financial foundation that is strong enough to weather almost any storm. The road ahead is uncertain. Some economists are warning about stagflation light, while others are more concerned. But you are not powerless. Now, I really want to hear from you. What are you seeing out there? Are your grocery bills telling this same story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we just getting spooked by the ghost of the 1970s? Or is this the real deal? Let's talk about it. If you want to keep exploring these topics with fact-based analysis, subscribe to our channel. And for a closer look at the economic policies that affect these same communities. Thanks for watching. For